How could you not move to that in the morning?
Because it's still the morning and I'm barely awake. No. I have to say that new music with that countdown melody that you entered there, this is our production wizard over there. So yeah, nice. Welcome everybody to Chaps, Many Culture. Buongiorno, Brett. Come stai?
Buongiorno, buongiorno. It is a wonderful day, wonderful Friday. It is the end of what has been, I think, of all the weeks that we've done. I mean, every week,
all the many weeks we've done,
the many weeks, the years of toil, and this week has been fantastic. We have had the most amazing guests talking about art, and I'm glad we picked this topic. Obviously, it's close in many ways to both our hearts, but it has been really impactful to listen to the insights and the experiences of how people are using art in their culture and across cultures. It's been fantastic. I don't know about you.
I've been loving it because the insights that came out of our guests were very profound and went beyond what one might expect when we set up this program as talking about culture, the space where there's never enough culture. Yes, art is one of those aspects of culture that lots of people that are not doing our work would think of first. However, making the connection or closing that loop, that working creatively in an artful process, creating art of some sort, is a conduit, a tool, a metaphor, a vehicle to do our work. And that was quite inspiring and enlightening.
I'm with you, brother. But it hasn't ended here. I mean, no. You're not just putting up with us today. We also have another wonderful friend of ours, another special guest who we're going to bring on here, who's going to round out this week in probably the best way we possibly can, talking about visual arts, but also talking about food. And it's the weekend, and it's usually time when people get together and share food. And may we please introduce the wonderful Antimo Cimino. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. So guys, I'm the last one of the series, right? It's like, wow.
Last but not least, the most important, you're good in your own right. Oh yeah, Antimo.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah.
So tell the people who don't know you yet, because the three of us, we've worked together, but not everybody watching will probably know this. So Antimo Cimino, that is Italian, and you're not in Italy, you're on the West Coast. It's early morning.
I'm not in Italy. My heart is there, especially now, but I am in Portland, Oregon. And I've been here about 25 years. Can you believe that?
So you came here as a child, basically.
Not really. I'm 48. I can say that I lived more in the US than I lived in Italy, where I was born and where my entire family is. But I get to go a lot there when under normal circumstances we can move about the planet. And I take amazing clients and groups throughout Italy, in and out of my friends and family circle, in a way that keeps them in touch more with the people of the culture, not so much the arts and the folklore part of Italy. I think that when one travels to another culture, human interaction is the most important factor if you want to understand how these people work, how they think, their heartbeat, right? And so entering their home and entering their lifestyle is a very, very unique experience.
I think that's great. You said folklore, right? And so when we travel to places, we absorb the folklore of a place before we go. We build up a certain story in our head about what this is going to be. Yeah. And as somebody who visited, so let's bring in, of course, at your home country of Italy last year when I spent 3 weeks there. Of course, I had never been to Italy. Our mode of traveling with our family is to try and do what you do. What you talk about, but still we are still confronted by a lot of content that we prepare ourselves for, and we look at the folkloric part of the countryside. But it is those special moments that we sometimes miss just with the people. That when all that goes away. And I think your idea of the experiential travel should be something that everybody tries to get themselves involved with. You certainly have to see the sights, and you have to do those tourist things.
Yeah. There is no. I mean, for me, it's the beauty is blending the touristic things with the traveler in depth, off the beaten path as well. And there is a huge difference between doing that on your own and doing it with somebody that facilitates the entire interaction. And I think the uniqueness, and I've seen it over and over with my clients, is that I have one foot in the American culture and one foot in the Italian culture. I can really facilitate a lot of intercultural dialogue, a lot of aha moments and amazing memories that come from connecting authentically with people. And yeah, it's just the ultimate. I think that's a given.
I think you're raising an important point, you two, because the folklore part of the sightseeing or the checking off the traveler's checklist, done this, done that, got the T-shirt, got the picture, held my hand against the Leaning Tower, and whatnot. So it's hard to take that away from people, because for some people that is essential for their experience.
Yeah.
However, I think, in my experience, if you truly connect with the locals, with the people who live in that land, and allow them to take your hand and guide you to the sites, and let them give you some local context around what you're experiencing as you hold up the Leaning Tower with your hand in the picture, they will tell you a story about it that no tour guide will give you, because they don't necessarily live there, or it's not written like that in the book, because it's their unique story. And it becomes yours. It becomes your unique memory, because you sat down with these people, had a drink, you sat down with them to eat, maybe they taught you how to cook that meal together. So it becomes a whole body experience rather than a snapshot, Instagrammable.
The idea for me is that the local, with their humility, with their pride of having an American in their home, are going to touch you at a level that you cannot even anticipate. I often don't even know what's going to happen. I've been to visiting friends and family where all of a sudden somebody knocks at the door and it's the neighbor, and all of a sudden we are going to her house because she wants to show you her house. She's never had an American in her house, things like that become this, oh my God, what's going on? I never expected this to happen. You can't expect something that emotional to happen while standing in line waiting to get into the Uffizi, or going to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or entering in the Colosseum. Right. And you actually, what happens is you may end up interacting with other tourists from around the world, and many other Americans, for instance, on a line waiting for half an hour to go into places. It's a different experience. And I'm not saying that the first one of going to the touristy things and the museums is wrong. By all means, it's part of an experience, but blend it so that you can go from being a tourist to a traveler, and going deeper in your experience.
My favorite guideline around this is a quote that is ascribed to Anthony Bourdain, the late chef and travel journalist, who apparently said, "Don't go and drink at the hotel. Find out where the people who the hotel do their eating and drinking, and go there."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my guideline.
Yeah.
Now, you don't only do these transatlantic connections and you don't only facilitate human connection by experiential travel, you also use art in your process, Antimo. So I think we're looking at some of your art, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is one of my pieces that I actually did during this pandemic. I realized that in terms of art expression, from the cooking to the painting, it has been the most prolific time of my life. And I had to sort of stop and reflect what made me so prolific. And it was really sort of a going to a place of escape, going to a place where I could find a relief from the heavy situation that we were living in. And following the racial tension, it became even more heavy on the heart. And for me, I needed to do self-care. I needed to shut off. I needed to close the computer, close the news, and go downstairs and paint. My garage became a nice, clean floor garage to paint splattered everywhere, because I was painting with my hands. I was painting with all kinds of balloons, and I was exploding balloons on the canvas. And I was just like wanting to completely be hijacked into a different planet. And for me, art was like easy hijack, easy meditation. It was a relief. It was, for me, it was probably a repository of emotions and feelings that I couldn't partake and share with anybody. And then another interesting one that was also very emotional to me was back in March and April, into May, Italy was experiencing the worst of the pandemic. We all know it. We all seen it. And it became very heavy and difficult to think of my parents in the South. My mom, very emotional about, I'm not going to see you this year, or this and that, very negative thinking. And so I started FaceTiming with her every single day, to the point where we made bread on Facebook. I made a cake for her birthday on Facebook. I was just like cooking with her, just like when I was a kid in the kitchen with her and my grandma. And so food is an art. If food is not just mere nutrition. And for Italian, I think in particular, maybe other European countries as well, in Italy, there is a saying. When you are eating, we say, anche l'occhio vuole la sua parte. And that translates for the eye as well sort of needs to eat, needs to be satisfied. And so if you think about the passion that goes into food, there is a pride in creating the dish that captures your attention, that says, eat me, right?
This is funny because we have that similar saying in German. Das Auge ist mit, so the eye sits with you at the table and is eating along, right?
Yep.
So this is, and we may have to underscore this a little bit, because many of our viewers are in North America, where what you just described is a foreign concept for many, that food can be more than nourishment and more than calorie consumption in order to keep our bodies functioning. It's not just fuel for the body. It can be a holistic experience that transcends the mere eating process, right?
I'll tell you more. I think this pandemic, while it's been a disaster at many levels, it has been probably the best teaching moment of everybody's life. And when I look at the American lifestyle of being always in a hurry, from home to work, from work to picking up the kids, to taking the kids to soccer, all of this chaotic, high stress activity that we are accustomed to, we call that normal. Well, think about how we had to all be inside for at least, there were 2-3 weeks where we couldn't really go anywhere. Everything was closed, no cars in the streets. Families resoluted to cooking together. Family resoluted to eat at the table together, because there was this breakdown and craving of human contact. Well, what do I do now? I can't order takeout. I can't go to the restaurant. And you finally go to the basic of human beings, survival mode, right? And so hopefully we've learned something. Hopefully we've learned the pleasure of cooking, the pleasure of being in touch with the food that we eat. And rather than, hello, I'm coming to pick up pizza in half an hour. And to me, I looked at it with the lens of, the Italian who still today, I swear, in 25 years of living here, I don't think I have not cooked more than 15 times. Not cooked. I cook every single day. Even when I had a corporate job, I would cook in the evening my meal for lunch. And my colleagues always were like, oh my God, your food looks amazing. It's like, yeah, I made it, right? So it becomes this part of your lifestyle. And for us Italians, food is such a connector. It is the tapestry of our culture is also based on food, because we prepare it and we eat seasonally, especially in the South. We have so many produce, and the weather is so different that we eat with the seasons. Mm-hmm. We don't eat strawberries at Christmas because there is no strawberries to find, unless you import them. But nobody thinks that way, right? And so getting around the table and eating and cooking together becomes this bonding process. I remember when I was a kid that every week my parents had their friends go from one house to the other. Of course, it was a little bit of a macho culture, and you'd see all the ladies coming into that person's kitchen for 2-3 hours before, cooking a storm, while the men were probably still going at the bar or in the piazza or elsewhere, and then they showed up and it was ready to eat, and we would play games and things. And I was always with the ladies cooking because that was what drove me, right? And so anyway, it's just part of our fabric. That's all I could say.
I'm going to say something that's completely not politically correct, or probably every Italian will crucify me for this, but the national colors, the flags of the Italian flag, tomatoes, mozzarella, basil. It's right there. I mean, you made caprese your flag. So
that's wonderful. I like I remember even in Australia that we measured seasons by the availability of certain foods, and that's kind of gone away. I mean, I think that was. I mean, I grew up in a place that really didn't have much variations in weather across. It got a little bit cooler in the winter time. Now I live in Chicago, where the variations. I'm glad I got the seasons, because I don't have the measurement of life of. Perhaps the food of like looking forward to the strawberry season, or looking forward to the.
And there is something to that, right? The looking forward to a produce. I still have it. Like right now, what I'm craving is the figs, right? Because I know they're. So your body grows with the seasons, and you are anticipating certain flavors, and it's all a game with your emotions of anticipation, and then the craving, and then you finally get it. And if you didn't grow up like that, you couldn't possibly understand what this feeling is like.
Well, that's a good point. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to show a short clip of Antimo in action in his home country. This kind of shows this emotion. You just can't help but feel it here. Just enjoy this.
My mom makes the best biscotti in the entire town. And when they're baked in this wood burning oven, it's like heaven and earth opening up. This is biscotti from Puglia, Manduria. And this is Antimo from Globally Local.
Dang it! Those were the figs. Oh man,
they're the figs, right? Absolutely.
Then click Add Extension to continue.
What is going on?
Siri's talking to you. She came back from yesterday.
Well, I think you see me. I no longer see you. I see some sort of update needed, but that's okay.
We see you, Antimo.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So when you describe cooking and the preparation of food as this transcendental experience, or this cultural experience that helps us, or even an artistic process, because it serves more than just our need for replenishment, how would you describe your artistic process of painting or creating art in terms of your work? So I know you are part of a group that is hosting a retreat there in Oregon, and you use art as part of that process, don't you?
So I do. I'm gonna go there in a second, because I was watching my mom in that video with my aunt making cookies. I remember one thing that I want to share with you. This makes me almost emotional. when I go home, and especially, for instance, when I will have to go again soon, hopefully, and it will have been a year or a year and a half since I haven't been home. But this happens even when I haven't been home for 3 months. My mom will ask me before she even, when I get there, before I get there and when I get there, the conversation is not about, oh, how are you? You know, sure, she hugs you and all of that. But the first one thing that she says is, what do you want to eat? What are you craving? What can I make you? I have this, I have that, you know, I know you like this. So as you can see, even at that level of a mother love for the son and it's fulfilling her sense of motherhood goes to food. And so it is extremely important. It is, I go back to say, this is not just taking food and putting it in your mouth for nourishment. Think about every bite with the passion and the love and the caring that is being made, and food will taste different. Think of the passion that goes and the energy that goes into food when you cook it, and food will taste different. So that's huge for me. But going back to your question, so yeah, I do all sorts of other things. All of them are connected to passion. But I realized that art has been an omnipresent thing in my life. At 14 until 21 years old, I was a dancer, and that was for me an escape from a kind of a strong father who did not like me to dance. Everything was like a rebellion, a putting my emotions in some way so that I could express them rather than have them sit inside of me. So I look at the creative process as a outlet of expression. It's meditative, but there's more to it when you think about how your brain needs to disconnect from this hyper-tense way of living on an everyday, every minute of our life. And then you try to shut it off and go into this area that, as I said before, kind of hijacks your mind and puts you in a place of creative response. So I think art is a creative response, a creative process, a creative processing of feelings and emotions. And I did it a lot during the COVID pandemic and the racial tension, because I was feeling I wanted to express something, and I was fearful of expressing something. I actually never did stand in front of a camera and express things like Christian, like you did, or Brett, you did as well. But I put it into paintings. I didn't need the world to listen, because I knew deep inside me where I was, and I just needed to put it somehow, somewhere. I created a painting during the week after George Floyd was assassinated, and I started with. Actually, I have the painting with me right here, and I'm gonna take it so that I can describe it live.
Yeah, that is awesome. See, these are the moments you don't calculate for. People walking away from the camera to pick something
I don't
up.
know if you can see it. I can't.
There you go. We can see it.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so what I did, I took an old canvas that was beat up, even torn, and I put a tape in the back. I wanted something that said used, abused. I wanted something that was thick in skin, in history. And there was a writing over it that said garage sale. I just plastered it with gesso and started trying to get rid of it because it was going to show through. And then I started with this thick coat of paint at the top, as you can see, black. And then across it, I started putting blotches of color, one next to the other, one next to the other. And I took a brush and I drew it vertically through all of the colors and created hearts. I've documented this in pictures. And that spoke to me because it was a hearts of many colors, bleeding, crying for love, compassion, understanding, justice. And then I thought, this, I was in tears doing this. I was in tears. I have not been able to watch the video of George Floyd. I will not watch it because it tears me apart. To think that a human being can be capable of such an atrocity. And so through that, I was literally crying and sobbing, and I thought, tears. So I took the canvas and flipped it like this, and the color, because I was working on the floor, and the color started dripping into tears. I let it dry. I went back the following day. Everything was still going on and very, very heightened and very heavy emotionally. I drew another set of color, blood and deep purple kind of thing, and let it dry, drop that into a pool that was the heart, because we needed to manifest our art taking, our art loving, our heart of compassion. And then I just ended it by splattering red, as if that was, the violence that we've seen over and over and over and over in the last 400 years. And this is Black Lives Matters for me.
And there's a connection you made, and I don't know if you made it consciously or if it was by accident, but you said earlier when you enter your mom's home, the first thing she's asking you, what do you want to eat? And the last thing that George Floyd said with his last breath, he was calling out for his mom.
Yeah. Yeah, it says it all, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to go other places, but these are the places where we sit, our emotions sit, and we have to listen. We have to talk about it. We have to stand up for it.
Well, you don't let them sit. You allowed them to come on canvas. That's your form of expression, right? And this is, you tell a story around this, and you can use this process and processing of emotions as a vehicle for your work, can't you?
Yeah, I do. I actually, in everything that we do, especially right now, we're doing this series of wellness, leadership and wellness retreats to really create a space where people can unplug, can disconnect, can dedicate one full day to self-care, to teach them how, in even the highest of stress, you can turn off everything. You have a tool at your disposal, and that is breath. It is underutilized, is misunderstood. We just breathe barely enough to survive, just like we're doing now as we talk. But there is a huge power to taking a deep, slow breath from your nose, holding into and opening your heart and expressing gratitude, and letting go through the nose again, very, very slowly, twice as slow as your intake of air. And through this series of exercises, through exercises of laughter, through exercises of thinking about your intention, through a narrative of about your goals, about how to rewrite your life, we create this clinic of self-care where people come out of it and they are very, very thankful they participate. They feel like they have tools to persist and endure during these uncertain circumstances. So, and art is part of it, because we also move, we feel the body, we dance just loosely. And I also say to people, truly, this is an opportunity to be foolish and to be a child, because oftentimes we forget to relax, to let it rise to the surface. What emotions and what is that we're feeling? What do you feel when you channel the child in you? So we forget how to be that, right?
So if people go to this website that you're seeing on the screen, culturalgloballabs.com, they'll find more information about how these retreats are put together and how they can participate, right?
Somewhat they will, because one of our program is the wellness and leadership that hopefully we can start again soon, face-to-face, when we can travel. But they can also email me at antimo@culturalgloballabs.com, and I will give them information. Of course, for anybody living in Oregon and Washington, that is very feasible, because these are face-to-face meetings. It's a 1 hour. It's super safe. We are actually in the curve and the bank of a river in a constant flow of air and water. We have about 12 feet apart from one another, and people can use masks as they wish, and they felt extremely safe. They bring their own food, so there is nothing touching somebody else's. So it's really a wonderful opportunity if you're in Oregon and Washington, and it's coming up. The next one is on the 29th of August. But otherwise, even online, we'll be happy to put together a workshop, and we will be launching soon a series of them anyway.
All right. You see Antimo's email on the screen, so feel free to note it down and get in touch with the man. Beautiful. Un ragazzo bellissimo.
Grazie.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a perfect icing on the cake to bring a food metaphor to this wonderful week of art. We encourage everybody to watch not only this one but the other episodes this week. In the past 5 days, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Antimo, for helping us round this week out, and I think it's actually a topic we need to extend into more weeks. But we'll do that maybe in the future.
Awesome.
How do you say have a wonderful weekend in Italian?
Have a wonderful week or weekend?
Weekend.
Vi auguro un buon weekend o fine settimana.
Fine settimana.
Fine settimana.
Grazie mille.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.